Welcome back to the Draft Ranking Show. We got a special one today. I'm joined by my main man, Matty Kiwoom. And some might say we're just over 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. Others might say this is peak, info season from all angles. It's a fire hose, as Brent Venables would say, the coach from Oklahoma. It's a fire hose right in the mouth, which, pause for just a second. But I'm Cody Carpentier with the Draft Ranking Show. As always, 5 days a week, 7 p.m. Eastern time here on YouTube, also on podcasts the following morning. This is Building the Big Board, the Monday edition of the Draft Ranking Show. And today we're going to be taking advantage of 5 of our favorite NFL draft bets that you can find across anywhere. I mean, Kalshi, DraftKings, FanDuel, Prize Picks, Underdog, but they're all going to have opportunities for you to take advantage of during this next 2-week stretch. And we're trying to get early on a couple of these. They've been out for, a week and a half to 2 weeks for some of the bigger markets here. But Matty Kiwoom, let's start out first and foremost with the big uglies, because these guys are going to get a lot of conversation, especially the next 2 weeks. And usually when it comes down to the nitty gritty, these are the guys that move up the board the week of the draft. And you're like, whoa, why is this guy getting conversed at pick 9? Well, it's because he was maybe always going to be conversed there because he's a big ugly. And I'm talking about the offensive lineman, the first offensive lineman to be drafted in the 2026 NFL draft. We both have a favorite in this, but neither of it is the same. Here's the odds. Francis Mauigoa, the offensive tackle from Miami, is minus 220. He's a big favorite here. Monroe Freeling, the tackle from Georgia, plus 250. Spencer Fano, plus 800. Caden Proctor, plus 1,800. Vega Ione, plus 2,500. Blake Miller, plus 15,000 from Clemson. Caleb Lomu, plus 18,000 from Utah. And Max Ihanachor, plus 20,000 from Arizona State. First offensive lineman selected in the 2026 NFL draft will be
Vega, how do you say his last name? Ione?
Ione.
Vega Ione. That's what I'm going to go with here. I love the juice. Let's start with this. So you can put around on bets that you don't cash out. This is a bet you could cash out. So something nice. Plus 25 hundo on DraftKings. So, and we've talked about now in past shows. This guy he's a blue chipper. This is the most talented offensive lineman. And if he was a no doubt left tackle, this guy's in the conversation for as early as 3 overall, right? I mean, we're talking about him super high right now. So at this point, we're looking at it. Fanu, who is one of the guys I had ranked the highest, he's being played at center. Francis Mauigoa, who is the betting favorite, got short arms, looking like he's probably going to be moved on the inside. So if you're talking about all the best guys being interior linemen, now we're building the case for why the best interior offensive lineman ends up being the first lineman taken. So give me that plus 2,500 Vega Ione, baby.
The last couple of years, we had Will Campbell go to 4 to the Patriots. The year before that was Joe Alt, 5 to the Chargers. In 2023, it was Paris Campbell, 6th to the Cardinals. They traded down from 3 in that draft and then traded back up to 6 to get Paris Johnson. In 2022, it was Akeem Akanu at 6 to the Panthers. Evan Neal was the next pick there, 7th overall to the Giants. The year before that, Penei Sewell right there at 7. So the spot that I'm looking is kind of the Cleveland Browns. I think the Giants are a sleeper spot if it is Vega. It's an interesting one. But I'm going to go 6th overall, Cleveland. We've heard this one. I don't fully believe it. But here's the deal, and this is the math I'm going to spin here, is if Arizona does trade out, and somebody comes up to get an edge or to get, Jeremiah Love, I think it opens the door to where Mauigoa doesn't go 3, he doesn't go 4 or 5, and that 6th pick, if the reporting from the last couple of weeks is true, that Caden Proctor is the top tackle on the Cleveland Browns board, I'm going to go plus 1,800. Caden Proctor goes to the Cleveland Browns, 6th overall. And the draft is officially the flattest circle of the century, because this is one that a year and a half ago was like that. That's the next thing. Now, again, he might have weighed close to 400 pounds a year and a half ago, but it's the Browns, and Clelin Ferrell's been a top 10 pick before. So I don't think it would be the biggest shocker in the world. It would shock me, but I think there's value here at plus 1,800 on Caden Proctor. I like your Vega pick as well. These are, I mean, we're talking about plus 1,800, plus 2,500. I think there's value in both of these guys. Whereas Fano and Monroe Frilling, I don't buy the Fano stuff. I think he's moved on to the center conversation, which I think bumps him down maybe into like the early teens or like the 10, 11, 12 area. Monroe Frilling, I think he's really, really freaking good. But the only team we've heard him attached to is the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Browns have Caden Proctor ahead of him, I think there's more value there. So it's either Maui Noah, or I do think that our two picks here in Proctor and Vega are real, kind of sleeper picks on the offensive line for the first offensive lineman selected in this draft.
Yeah, and it starts when we're trying to build these bets out. It starts with Maui Noah minus 220. If you were going to tell me he's going to stick at left tackle, no doubt about it. But this guy didn't even play left tackle at Miami.
Right
He's
tackle,
a right
yeah.
tackle. So at this point, to say that you're betting favorite with minus 220, so that for me immediately comes out of my betting mind. I'm not going to put, if he's not this isn't Joe Alt, right? This isn't Penei Sewell. This isn't one of those guys. So I'm not going to put money down on a guy with that negative juice. And then Freeling being a guy that we had in the we were probably on the higher end ranking him before the combine in the 30s, 35-ish range, to jump him all the way up to number one at only 250. I just don't see the juice in it. Fanu at 800 is where it gets a little bit interesting for me, but then Proctor and Vega, those are where I'm really getting excited about seeing some of this juice, because these guys are we talked about Proctor too early. This would be the ultimate flat circle. The draft is a flat circle moment in the history of the draft.
All right, let's move on to quarterback, the one that's these guys are protecting. There's one quarterback really of the conversation. Obviously, Mendoza's been attached to the Raiders he's like minus 25,000 at this point to go to the Raiders. Ty Simpson. This is an interesting one. I mean, I think that there's going to be a lot of questions whether he goes round one. I think that what will end up happening is he gets back into round one conversations and it kind of stays there as these next 17 days unfold. But where and when is the biggest question with Ty Simpson? Is it going to be as flat as saying he's going to go back up in the top 5, or is he barely get into round one? I'll tell you where I'm going to go, and then I'll kick it to you, Matty. We both have a Simpson prop here. Mine is a team, a specific team that has used a pick in the 20s in the last decade at quarterback. And they're in a spot where you talk to people around this organization and they're more, we do not want to rebuild. We need to stay competitive while we reload for the future. He drafted a quarterback last year who took a solid step as a rookie. Maybe isn't quite the answer. So they're going to bring back the vet this year. And you bring back the vet this year and you implement a guy into this offense that needs a year. Coach's son physically needs a year to mature. Didn't quite have as much starts. He didn't get to the 23 starts or 23 wins or the 30 starts, threshold that he would get to if he went back to school. I'm sending Ty Simpson to the Pittsburgh Steelers at plus 900. That is the spot for me for Ty Simpson. And I love this one. It's the 4th best odds. So it's Arizona at plus 130, New York Jets at plus 210, Rams at plus 600, Steelers plus 900, then Browns plus 1,100, and then it falls off a little bit. I believe the Steelers sitting at 21, and between 21 all the way up to 13 is my window here. I believe that there could be a potential trade with the Rams and the Steelers. If the Steelers think they need to be aggressive, we know the Rams are looking to move back at all times. So I'm looking between pick 13 and 21 for Ty Simpson to go off personally, and I'm going to go Pittsburgh Steelers plus 900 for the specific team. The Rams are ahead of them plus 600. I'm not buying it. The Jets are at plus 210. I think that ship has sailed at quarterback in 2026. I think they're looking to 2027. And then the Cardinals are up there. And I like the value in Pittsburgh more than I do the Rams, the Jets, or the Browns amongst this top 5.
You know how the saying that, old married couples, they end up having like a hive mind. They think alike after all these years. Cody, you are my work husband because we have the same hive mind. I love the call in Pittsburgh. Matter of fact, if you go to play a profile, and maybe by the time you're even listening to this episode, and if it's not there yet, it'll be there in a couple of days. My mock 6.0 It has one trade in it, and it is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
No, it
moving up.
ain't.
I swear, and then we did not talk about this. We haven't talked about our newest iterations of the mock. I have it done. I could show you the documents. Like Alex shows, I can show you the documents. That's the one trade that I have. Pittsburgh Steelers moving up to 12 with the Rams to get ahead of the Jets, because at the end of the day, they have to not only get ahead of the Jets at 16, they got to get ahead of the Ravens, because the Ravens ain't going to trade with the Steelers to let them move up for a quarterback. So I do have that in my mock, so I love the call. So instead of doubling down on this call, I'll pivot because we can't have the same betting odds, because there's another thing. There's another breakdown I want to go with Ty Simpson. It's a foregone conclusion. He's a QB2, right? I think everyone will agree Ty Simpson is QB2 in this class. So we're trying to put him into a team. Could he go as high as number 2 to the Jets? Unlikely. Seems like the Jets are playing with Geno Smith, and if he fell to 16, I think the Jets might pull the trigger. There's a team, though, that fits the criteria that you just laid out there. The picture you just painted, this team also falls into this category. A team that needs a QB of the future. A team that has a decent QB room to support a quarterback that they can develop for a year or so. And if this team was drafting at 14, 15, 16, 17, I think they'd be the betting favorite, but they're not. They're drafting at 3rd overall. So right now, you can get Ty Simpson as the 3rd pick in the draft at plus 2,700. So I'm taking that bet. It's juice. It's my long shot of the show that we're going to talk about.
You do an ultra smoke screen right here. That's what your play is.
This is my ultra smoke screen at this point. Like I said, the Cardinals and Ty Simpson are a match. They have been sniffing around Ty Simpson. They brought him in for a 30 visit. They have him on the radar. And at any point, our guy, Monty, catches wind, gets a little sniff that this kid won't be there in the 2nd round. And all of a sudden, he's kind of scattered. How do I get back into the 1st? Or he says, you know what? Take him at 3. Let's lock it up. Let's not mess around. And at plus 27, honey, I'm taking that juice, baby.
So I like this, and I think it's interesting because if you go back to the Cardinals when they were picking 3 a couple of years ago, and they dropped down to, I think, 11 with Houston, came back up to 6, and still got Paris Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, that was the mock spot for Paris Johnson was 3. And a lot of the conversation now is like, somebody in the building for Arizona wants Jeremiah Love. And if that's the smoke screen of somebody needs to come up and get him if they want him, because we know Tennessee wants him at 4, it makes all the sense in the world that would be the smoke screen, right? So that would be Monty saying, come get Jeremiah Love. We'll drop down to pick 7. And we'll still get our quarterback in Ty Simpson. So that's interesting. And I like the angle you took here because, like you said, what were the odds again at pick 3 for Ty Simpson?
2,700.
See, that's juice.
That's juice.
Comparison to just straight up picking Ty Simpson to the Cardinals. Like I said before, I believe that one is like plus 210. I just had it up on the screen. Now my screen went Kaputski, plus 130. So it's plus 130 just to go to the Cardinals. So I think that's another angle here that we can, that people need to be like, have their eyes on them, because so right now I believe it goes all the way out to what pick you can make a selection like that for. I think it goes up to pick 7.
8. You can get to 8.
Out to 8. Okay. So like, for example, so again, I'm not trying to shit on your pick, but what I'm saying is I think it's a great idea, great thought process, because they could just say, F it. Nobody wants to trade up. We need to take Simpson here because he's not going to fall past, 13, 17, whatever, right? I don't think we're going to be able to trade back in. Is there a world where Simpson just goes 3? Yes. So I like your odds there. But then I also think you can sit here and you can poke around at, do you have pick 7 up on your board right now? I don't know if I can find it.
I have pick 7 up, yeah.
Is there odds on Simpson to go 7?
Let's see here.
There might not. Like specifically pick 7.
No, because right now you're handicapping based on the Commanders picking there. So I don't know if they necessarily have that juice here, but I can look for it. I have pick 7 right here, number 8, Number 7, Ty Simpson is not even on the board, or at
So
least the top 10 players. He plus 2,200. Kenyon Sadiq is the 10th best odds, so it might even be lower than that. But I don't have that pulled up. So
I think the only place that you're probably going to be able to do this is like Kalshi. So
right, where there just is no rules.
on Kalshi right now, you can get him at 8 cents on the dollar. So Jeremiah Love at pick 7 is 26 cents. This is the highest, 26%. Sonny Styles, 24%. Cardinal Tate, 18%. Down, 16%. Bailey, Bain, Delane, Sadiq. And then it's just a free-for-all. And Ty Simpson is down here at 8 cents. So in this example, 8 cents would be $10 makes you 125. So that's about plus 1250. No, plus 1250
Mm-hmm.
In
Not that
NFL
bad.
in prop terms. So if you think there's a trade happens in Arizona who's down, you're getting similar odds there to if you just directly hit that number 3 spot as well. So similar odds are available. I will say, Matty, one bet that I've had that has been sitting in my Kalshi account for, I want to say, let me see if I can pull it up here. This isn't going to be a winner, but I'm just going to tell you because I can't cash it out because I'm just going to lose money. I'm just sitting here and stare at it for the hell of it. Is Ty Simpson number 2 overall? I've had this thing in here for, gosh, what is this? Since February 8th.
Yep.
About 2 months. And we kind of had this conversation 2 months ago about like, hey, he's falling out around one. He's going to be right back. He's going to be right back in this conversation. Now we're having this conversation. It's not number 2 overall. It's actually number 3 overall that we're talking about. So I'm going to lose $5 on it, but it is what it is. It's $5. It was like going to win $181 off of $5. I'm going to sprinkle it. You throw a little bit in there. You have a specific team that you want to attach a tight end to here. Talk to us about Kenyon Sadiq.
So right now we're looking at which team will be drafted or who will draft Kenyon Sadiq. The betting favorite is the Carolina Panthers, plus 300. Typically, as you guys may have guessed based on my first couple of bets, I don't like to bet on the favorites, but at plus 300, I think that's worth taking. So I like the Panthers. I am sprinkling a little bit on there for them to take him. I think that's a good pick for Sadiq. And as you play out the mock, it seems like he may end up falling just a little bit based on team need. But the Panthers, they are absolutely sniffing around, pass catchers for Bryce Young. They've brought in a whole bunch of receivers on top 30 visits. They've brought in some tight ends that are a little bit later, but you don't, as we talk about every year, the guys like Kenyon Sadiq, the guys that burned down the combine, that are the well-regarded number 1 player at the position, you don't have to bring them in on a 30 visit to understand what the player is. You're trying to differentiate between plan Bs and plan Cs and my second rounds and my third rounds. That's where you're trying to jockey for position, get that information. When a guy like Kenyon Sadiq falls to you, you take him. So I'm not worried about the 30 visit when it comes to the Panthers. That's not a box I was looking to check. So I like that. I am going to put some on 300, but I'm going to give you a little bonus bet. Plus 1,000 of the Kansas City Chiefs. I also want to put a little bit down on that, and here's why. They got 2 first-round picks. They have the luxury to maybe take them at 9. I think that's a little bit rich considering what else they need and what players will be available. But could they move from 10 to 14? Could they move from 10 to 12? Can they move back and get them? Absolutely. It's on the board here. And with those type of plus 1,000 odds, I'm going to put some down on the Chiefs too, because I like the fact that not only can they take them at 9, they can take them at the end of the first. They can maneuver around. So because they need that replacement, I'm going to put some on the Chiefs. But in terms of if I had to just pick one, I like this Panthers. I know it's the betting favorite, but plus 300 odds. You still got some juice, and you can get the fit that just makes a ton of sense for Canalison. You and I both like JT Sanders, but proved to be a lot banged up more often than not. At this point, we've seen this player, whether it be a tight end, receiver, running back, it always happens. We think this guy's penciled in to be the X position player of the future. Something better comes along, and it's just that meme, right? Looking back at the other person, looking back at Kenyon Sadiq to the Carolina Panthers.
I like it. I'm going to go with pick 4 as my outlier pick here. So number 4 right now, the heavy favorite is Jeremiah Love to the Tennessee Titans plus 140. And for obvious reasons, it's been conversed the last, I don't know, 3 weeks, probably very heavy in here since the combine, especially for Jeremiah Love to the Tennessee Titans, plus 140 to pick 4. After him is David Bailey plus 330, Ruben Bain plus 600, Carnell Tate plus 800. I think these are the only 4 really in contention here, and I don't think David Bailey is a realistic selection. I think if it's not Love, it comes down to Bain and Tate. I think the right play would be to surround your quarterback with a weapon, aka Carnell Tate. From the things we've heard and the stuff that has happened in the last week or so, I'm to believe that Jeremiah Love might go at 3, either to Arizona or with a trade. And I'm to believe that 2 has become an interesting conversation point. And I think what that does is it reminds me of some conversations I had in Indianapolis about how the real number 1 player in the Tennessee Titans board was Ruben Bain. And that a lot of the Jeremiah Love stuff with Arizona and with Tennessee kind of just smells. It's very smoky. And Jeremiah Love's a great talent, but there's not a lot of trade value available naturally in this draft because of the lack of quarterback. And if you can manufacture that, if you're Arizona or Tennessee who needs some value, why wouldn't you, put all the chips on the, hey, we're going to take Love. Hey, we're going to take Love. And then that kind of brings conversation points to like, I don't know, all the way out to maybe like a Dallas or a Rams at 13 or, New Orleans or Washington. Hey, should we jump up to 3? Should we jump up to 4 and get Love? Ruben Bain plus 600 is my Tennessee Titan here that I'm going to put a couple of units on because I believe that there's multiple universes at which that this is the truth, that Ruben Bain is the number 1 player on their board, and that's the player that they've been circling all along. And even though the Jeremiah Love stuff has come out, I have a lot of trust and belief in the sourcing that I talked to around Tennessee that said that Bain was the number 1 player on the board. So I'm going to go Bain plus 600 to the Tennessee Titans.
I like the call. Ruben Bain fits the Robert Saleh technique. Big, powerful, that horsepower edge rusher. Definitely checks the boxes. But let me ask this. How do you feel about the double smoke screen? We talked about the Cardinal smoke screen with Jeremiah Love. What about the anti-smoke screen from Robert Saleh that he loves his running back room?
Well, that's the thing. That's the interesting part is because it's like Tennessee has been so attached to this running back thing. And then he comes out and he goes, Tony Pollard put 100 on us last year. And it's like, we know. Like, we know it's improper for you to go running back. Mm-hmm. Like, you should go receiver or you should go edge, period.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's kind of like a mixed signal thing. Like, is he trying to – he knows that the conversation's out there about Jeremiah Love, and he's trying to say, hey, we're not doing that. And so then it kind of – and then so that they do come into – I don't know. It's one of those, 4D chess type of conversations there, but – I think it's still within reality that they go Love, but I'm going to go ahead and take Bain here, plus 600. Last, let's talk about Washington. Picking 7. At number 7 overall, heavily been in the running back conversation, heavily in the edge conversation. What say you, Washington, number 7 overall?
So for me right now, and it comes down to the pick 7. Pick 7 Washington Commanders, who's available, who's there. Now, if you look at the visits, the 30 visits, a lot of receivers. They brought in Sonny Styles. I'm not going to go that route. I'm just going to go with my gut here. There's a player that has seemed to have lost a lot of helium throughout the draft process. But if you go talk to 5 or 6 people in the industry, what would you have heard about this player in August, in September, in October? That he was the best player in this draft. I'm talking about Caleb Downs. And something that we do bring up more often than not when it comes to these good teams that have bad years and they fall down, they usually dip down, take a BPA, best player available, try to jump right back up. It's not so much about team need, about fit, about this. It's about getting a difference maker. And Caleb Downs is a difference maker. I don't care if he's a little bit undersized. He's not as fast as you thought. This guy was regarded as the best college football player going into the 2025 season and really did nothing to prove that he wasn't. If he's there at 7, the Washington Commanders can take a difference maker on that defense at plus 750. Give me the commies taking Caleb Downs, baby.
A position that they've been trying to fulfill for 20 years.
20 since Sean Taylor. This is come on.
Since the great one. They had a couple of years of DJ Swearinger in there, but yeah, the great one. This would be a pretty, I mean, this is a very interesting spot here for the Commanders. And we're on sort of different ends of this spoke. Jeremiah Love plus 215, Sonny Styles plus 370, Cardinal Tate plus 400, Ruben Bain plus 500, Mansour Delane plus 500, David Bailey plus 650, and Caleb Downs plus 750. And then it drops off to receivers, Tyson, Lemon, Sadiq. And you go Downs. My favorite, maybe favorite landing spot period in the top 10 since the jump this draft cycle has been Washington Commanders at 7 taking David Bailey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
David Bailey plus 650. If he's there, again, there's conversations with the Jets at 2. I think the Browns are a team that should go edge. I think if you could pair an edge, I did a mock draft, I can't even say the words.
Like a team specific one. You've been doing those.
A 7-round team mock draft, right? That's going to drop on the channel. I think it's tomorrow. I think it's going to drop tomorrow on the channel. And it was the Cleveland Browns. Spoiler alert. Probably shouldn't be telling you this because it's literally going to be on the show tomorrow. But who gives a shit? Instead of taking tackle or receiver at 6 for the Browns, I gave him David Bailey. Came back, got Caden Proctor at 24, Casey Concepcion at 39. I love that. Like 11 times out of 10.
They're just, I mean, it's the Browns, so they can't pull off a heist like that, but that is the type of draft capital return that you go, ooh.
That's what you should do. And that's what I'm saying is they should do that, but they won't. So if Bailey doesn't go to 2, I think there's a decent chance he falls to potentially a 7 or 8 Washington, New Orleans. And I think you look at what Washington has done in this free agency. They went out and got Odafe Away, was traded from Baltimore to the Chargers, a free agent. They add him. They had Caleb Chason, who was up with your Patriots last year. Charles Omenihu, who's in the 29 or 30, was with the Chiefs. Like, they added a lot of pieces to this edge room that they needed to. But this guy's different. David Bailey's different. And you can never have too many edge. Just like you can never have too many corners. If you're Mike Zimmer, you can never have too many edge. And you can ask even Brad Holmes with the Lions. 2 years ago, we asked him at the NFL Combine, like, hey, you got Aiden Hutchinson. There's rumors about you trading for, Myles Garrett. This is back when that whole thing was happening.
Yeah. Max Crosby.
He goes, listen. Yeah, Max Crosby. He goes, listen, you can never have too many edge. He goes, if I could have 3 guys like that or 4 guys like that, I would have 3 or 4 guys like that. So you look at the Commanders, and respectfully to Odafe Away, I love Odafe Away. He's barely one. He's barely one stud. Like, he's a really good edge rusher, but he's not really that great. Caleb Chason had a good season, had a pedigree from back in the day. Charles Omenihu is a very good, like, rotational defensive end. David Bailey is what, they went and got Von Miller the last couple of years in Washington. Von Miller didn't become he wasn't the OG Von Miller.
Mm-hmm.
This is your Von Miller. So if you really want to make a point to address this defensive end / edge position this offseason, taking David Bailey on top of those other 3 is be the ultimate exclamation point. And I'm getting him here for the Washington Commanders at plus 650. So you took Caleb Downs plus 750. I like David Bailey plus 650. I think they're both sleeper selections here. I don't think they go corner with Delane. I don't think Love is most likely going to be there. That's a sneaky one. I get it, but it shouldn't be the favorite. Styles, Tate is interesting as well, but it's a mixed bag. I like Bailey. I like Downs. That's it. Do you have any other random ones that we didn't talk about that you had on the tip of your tongue, but we didn't bring up?
So it's not really one that we did bring it up, but I also just want to add this. So if you're really just into it, you're looking for just serious juice here, looking for some fun. Um, I'm gonna double up here. So I had Vega at, was it 2,500 as the first offensive lineman taken. If you also do Vega going 6th overall to the Browns, you can get it at plus 4,500. Put a couple shillings on both. All of a sudden, you're coming away with a nice payday if you see the Browns taking the first guy off the board, and it's Vega.
It's Masters week.
It's Masters week, baby.
Will you watch any of them? How many holes out of 72 will you watch this week?
That is a fluid answer, and the reason being, I'll definitely watch a bunch on the early stages, either Thursday, Friday, and then I'll watch the entire day on Sunday if the boys are together. If I'm not doing fam stuff. So if I am doing fam stuff, it'll just be when I can, but I'm definitely watching as much as I can, either Thursday, Friday, and then Sunday, no doubt.
No, so you're getting more than 50% in.
Yeah, I'm getting more than 50% in.
All right, so Scotty's been cold. This is a bonus part of this. We're taking advantage of the Masters now. Bonus minute of the show, final minute. Scotty's been cold as ice. Bryson's been hot in the Live Tour. Is there anybody yet? Like, if you had to pick one, and now this is on the spot, we'd not talk about this pre-show. If you had to pick somebody in Masters bets right now, Scotty's number 1 plus 500, John Rahm's 2 plus 950, Rory for the back-to-back is plus 1,200, tied with Bryson at plus 1,200, Xander Schauffele plus 15, Ludwig is at plus 1,800, and then Matt Fitzpatrick and Tommy Fleetwood are both at plus 2,000. You could always go long shot with like a Morikawa or a Koepka or something, but do you have a favorite, like in general? Like for these Masters ones, I usually do like it's a tournament of sorts where we get one guy in each tier.
Yep.
So we get like one of the Kingmakers, one of the mild guys, and then one of the sleepers.
Like a DFS.
That's the tournament we do. So I always do Bryson for those.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll take, like a Justin Rose or something else much lower. But do you have a favorite, period?
So I always root for, I like Brooks Koepka. So I'm a bad guy. I like Koepka. I like Bryson, another guy that's kind of considered a bad guy. But if we're talking about betting odds here, I don't even really know how he's playing. I just know that this guy's a good golfer and he's going to get one of these green jackets eventually. So I definitely like Morikawa, 31-1.
I love Morikawa.
I always like Morikawa. He's played big. He's played in some big opens. Like, was it the Players Open? He's won a couple times. Like, he's a big time golfer in big time events. So he's going to get a green jacket eventually. So I always want to put some money down on that. And when you see 31-1, I like it. Victor Hovland, 45-1, another good golfer who could put it together. And then let's see if there's another guy that kind of catches my eye as I'm scrolling through here. No, I'm always going to go with my guy Sanjay. I'm always going to put some shillings on my guy Sanjay Im or Max Homa at 115-1 or 120-1. But those are just like a sprinkle because I like to root for them. But if we're talking about something with a little bit of thought to it, give me Colin Morikawa 31-1.
I like that. I think I'm going to be a Morikawa with you. I think I like that. He got banged up last week. I think he had to withdraw from a tournament, but he had 3 top 10s in the last 4 years. Was 14th last year. So I'll throw some shillings on Morikawa with you, but it's time. It's time for the big dog to win.
I would love it.
It's time for Bryson DeChambeau to get the green jacket, and they better fit that thing because that big boy is going to need a fitted one. Bryson DeChambeau, 2026 Masters champion plus 1,200. You heard it here first.